Hi everyone, Mailmodo is dedicated to help you get better email conversion by inserting forms, cards, calendars, and app widgets inside your emails. Sign up today to bring life to your emails. Hi Chase, thank you for coming on to the Growth Chat podcast. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, man. Excited to be here.
Me too, excited to actually get the insights out of you. Wonderful. So, why can't we start with your background, Chase? What was your previous career? How did you kickstart?
Yeah, so my career in marketing kind of got started by accident. I'm 28 today, but so at 13, about 15 years ago, I was diagnosed with what's called Crohn's disease. And Crohn's disease is basically inflammation of your digestive tract. And I was sick for an entire year from 13 years old to 14 years old through lack of awareness of this disease. The only way that you really knew about it is if you knew someone that had it. But outside that, you didn't really know much. So I kept getting misdiagnoses after misdiagnoses. And I spent basically a year being sick. After that, I wanted to take it upon myself as a 14-year-old to raise awareness and fundraising for this disease. So I started calling friends' houses, sending emails, doing restaurant fundraisers, organizing these really big walks. And over the course of a few years, raised tens of thousands of dollars. And at 16, I became the youngest board member of this charity. And this charity does about $50 million in fundraising today. So it's a pretty big charity. Spent 6 years on the board there. And that's really how I got thrown into marketing, having to take out ads in the paper, having to get really scrappy and do a lot of guerrilla marketing. From there in college, I worked 6, 7, 8 different jobs and internships because I had to pay for my own tuition. So that's really how I got into kind of marketing and, more so email marketing was the way that I got into doing this today through sending messages that were highly personalized one by one. And then later figuring out how to actually scale those emails to send personalized emails to a bunch of folks that felt very intimate.
That's a great start and a great reason behind how did you get into the marketing. Wonderful start. How did you start on the Chase Dimond? Probably you can start. What was the spark moment, and how did you start your business?
Yeah, so I was working for a couple companies out of college, just trying to figure out, what I wanted to do and, figure out what the landscape looked like. And after kind of having a few successes at a few companies, I started doing some consulting and kind of side work and side projects and, starting side hustles. And through some of those side hustles, I started doing pretty well. Like I had an agency and consulting shop on the side that started doing well. And at one point, I started making more money from the side stuff than I was at my full-time job. So I made the switch from working for someone to kind of going out on my own and doing this whole entrepreneurship thing through a dating site, through an Instagram growth service, through a marketing agency. And after doing that for about 6-12 months with a couple partners, I ended up doing it for myself for about 6 to 12 months. And then I reconnected with other partners and have been doing it ever since. So today I'm a partner at an agency called Structure. We have about 60 full-time employees. We work with about 120 to 130 clients. We strictly do e-commerce marketing. Me in particular, all I've ever done is e-commerce email marketing. So I've sent north of 1 billion emails, done tens of millions of dollars in email attributable revenue. And I love what I do. I love email.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's a great start. There is always a side hustle to start something of your own. Nice. As you were just mentioning, the reach of 1 billion emails and 50 plus million dollars in email attribute revenue. So, can you talk about a little bit on that? What were the core principles that you followed that you had to actually carry out with your journey to reach this stage?
Yeah, look, I think with a lot of things, people always want like the secrets and the hacks and, the thing that's going to, go from 0 to 100. And the reality is there's not one thing that's a silver bullet. So with email, we really focused on all the core principles and making sure that we have touch points at each step in the funnel. So that's focusing on, both pre and post purchase automations or pre and post purchase flows, things like the welcome series, the different abandoned flows, right? The browse abandonment, the abandoned cart, the abandoned checkout, things like back in stock, right? Those are all on the pre-purchase side. And on the post-purchase side, having things like the customer thank you, the review request, the upsells, the cross sells, the win backs, the breakup series, right? Educational content. So really making sure that we touch each of the points in the customer journey to serve them content that's relevant to them, I think is super important on the automation side. And that also carries over into the campaign side, which is the one-time send to a group of people. We're sending enough times per week where we're able to maximize revenue, but not too many times where we're having a lot of people opting out or unsubscribing, right? So it's really just doing a lot of testing of how many campaigns per week work for brand A. Okay, great. 2 campaigns are the ideal for brand A, But for brand B, it could be 3, 4, 5 campaigns, right? So for each brand, applying best practices, but also taking an individualized personal approach is super important. Leveraging segmentation is crucial for being able to make sure that you're hitting the inbox or at the very least the promotions tab and hopefully never being in the spam folder. And then segmentation also allows you to send more campaigns per week because you're hitting different audiences. And the more times that you press send, the more different audiences that you get to engage, the more likelihood that you get to drive the open, the click, and ultimately the conversion. So I think what we've done really, really well is making sure that we have enough content in place and not just being overly reliant on campaigns to drive revenue or overly reliant on flows. We're really kind of spreading, the love across all the things that you have to do in email. And I think we have really great copy, really great design as well, which is a really nice to have.
Okay, that's a wide spectrum covering starting from your campaign planning and how you are actually getting the target. Wonderful. So let's talk about the specifics now. How email marketing plays a crucial role in customer products. I want to understand like how you start from understanding what does the consumer need and what are the importance around the customer. Then how do you plan it?
Yeah, so for the states that we're at right now, we're typically working with brands that are doing at least 7 figures in revenue, so at least $1 million a year, all the way
Mhm.
up to we have a couple brands doing a couple $100 million a year. So when we come in, typically they have like their customer figured out, right? They have some scale, but for us, it's trying to figure out what's the right tone, what's the right cadence, what are the things that are going to move the needle in terms of the levers that we can pull. 10% off versus $10 off versus free shipping versus a free product, right? So we're kind of
Mhm.
coming in, and oftentimes they've done some things on email, but they haven't done enough testing, right? So we're coming in and testing plain text versus beautifully designed emails. A lot of cases, right, depending on the email, depending on the brand, it goes back and forth between which one's better. I don't think there's a one size fits all. I think a lot of people like to say,
Mhm.
oh, you have to do plain text, you have to do design. And I think in reality, right, you have to do both. So coming in and trying to figure out how that works, how that looks for each particular brand, because it really skews based off demo. A lot of times, millennials and younger, they want beautiful designed emails. They want graphics. They want animation, right? They want these types of things. Whereas older demos, they want plain text that's larger font, that's easy to read, that you more optimize for desktop for the larger folks, maybe for like a tablet, like an iPad or something. And for the younger demo, you're designing with mobile in mind, right? So there's all these things
Mhm.
that come into play that when we work with a brand, that sure, they figured out how to scale to a certain point. They have a customer list. They have some kind of ideas, and we're just coming in and trying to disprove or prove that same hypotheses on email.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That's a good list to actually start with. Nice. And with that information, what are the things that you feel as a must know information that these are the different types of email marketings that are available, and what are the formulas that would be useful for actually hacking the growth?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think regardless of the brand that you own, every brand can leverage some of the core automations, right? Every brand
Mhm.
can leverage a welcome series, a way to kind of greet new people to the list, a way to basically set the tone of the relationship and get them to, feel warm and welcome and work with your brand. So, there's typically like a 4-part email sequence that we run there. The first email is like a welcome and a thank you and offering any kind of discount code if applicable. So if you promised in the pop-up or a flyout or something, a 10%
Mhm.
off or a free product, or you're entering into a giveaway, this first email is where you deliver it. Email
Okay.
two, if someone still hasn't converted, goes into like a brand story, any kind of unique quality standards, and any really benefits of shopping with your company. This is the email where you really share with the consumer what's in it for them. Then from there, if they don't convert still, you're going to go into social proof,
Mhm.
customer reviews, press mentions, testimonials, celebrity endorsements, retail footprint, and wanting to display kind of the popular products. And then the fourth email in the welcome series, if you haven't converted, we'll try to be focusing on the community, getting them to follow you on social, getting them to hit reply, joining a Facebook group, right? So like the welcome series for non-buyers is very universal for all e-com brands. I think like the
Okay.
abandoned carts, the abandoned checkouts, the customer thank yous, those are all things as well that I think every e-commerce brand can leverage. Certain ones that are specific to certain brands might be like a replenishment reminder. So that's something for like a topical or consumable. Think about like a multivitamin or skincare or hair care. They could leverage certain things that every single month they're going to send you a reminder to reorder. Or if they have a subscription, right, they're going to try to sell you on the subscription so that way you don't have to remember to reorder. So every brand can leverage a certain set of automations. Again, welcome series, abandoned flows, back in stock. If you have products that sell out, customer thank you, review requests, cross sells and upsells, as long as you have multiple SKUs, breakup series. Those are all universal. And then on the campaign side, right, like you really want to mix the frequency and kind of the campaign cadence, everything from product launches to holidays to flash sales to education to social proof, right? Current events. Those are all different buckets that are accessible to all different types of e-commerce brands as well.
Okay. Specifically on that email flow that you were mentioning on the frequencies, right? So what would be the ideal frequency? Just we need to make sure that customer is not being getting annoyed, and if there is no response from them. So how do you handle that initial part without customers actually not feeling that, okay, this is too much for me?
Yeah, you really just start with one, right? Start with one campaign per week, right? Send the
Mhm.
campaign out, see how people engage, respond, look at the positive metrics, the open rates, the click-through rates, the conversion, but also monitor the negative things, the mark to spam, the unsubscribed, right? The bounced. And if all those are in line with industry standards, send a second email per week, right? Cool, everything looks great. Send a third email per week. Maybe that third email is where friction is introduced, the open rates decrease, the click through decreases, the conversion decreases, the mark to spam increases, the unsubscribes increases, right? If that happens, then you know the equilibrium for your brand is 2 times per week. But in reality, right, most brands can send 2, 3, 4 times a week without any issues. So start with one, increment up to two, try three, try four, right? See where the sweet spot is.
Okay, so it's a trial and error method to before deciding what should be the fixed frequency.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So I believe the customer engagement game is critical in deciding the frequency, how our customers are responding and stuff. So any tips on how you can actually hook the customers? So how to actually get into the game of engaging the customers? Any particular sweet spot where we can actually follow formulas?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things, right? There's the first part of the email, right? Is you have to get someone to actually open it, right? And there's certain leverage that you can kind of pull and kind of certain levers that you can take advantage of. So on the open rate side, aside from where your email lands, right? Obviously where your email lands is going to indicate what your potential open rate could be. If you're in the primary folder, you can have the most number of opens. If you're in the promotions, you have the second most. And if you're in the spam folder, you're going to have the least number of opens, right? It's just the way of the game. So aside from where you land, things that you can test and can control are the from name, the subject line, and the preview text, right? So in the subject line, you're going to want to use curiosity. Obviously, you don't want to be clickbaity, but you use curiosity in the subject line. And then the preview text almost as a secondary subject line. So you want to use intrigue to get someone to actually open the email. Great. So now that we've got someone to open the email, what do we do? Right. So we're going to focus on one single idea in the body of the email, right? So we're going to want to deliver value, give all the information in the body. We're going to have one clear and main call to action. Learn more, buy now, check us out, whatever it might be. And the whole goal of the email is going to be to sell the click, right? Sure, obviously you have to do some selling of the product, but in e-commerce, the whole goal
Mhm.
is to sell the click. You want someone to click from your email onto your landing page, onto your website. And then the goal of the website or the landing page is to convert the user. So those are kind of the steps and the tips that we take at our agency and kind of that I recommend people leverage to hopefully drive
Mhm.
opens and click through.
Okay. Is there any detail that one should give importance to, like your subject line has to be within this kind of a format, or your catchphrase should be framed like this? Any sort of information that anyone who's starting with the marketing should be aware of?
No, you just have to kind of know your audience, know the language and tone that they want, and just honestly test, right?
Okay.
This language versus that language, emojis versus no emojis, some caps
Mhm.
versus no caps, certain brackets or parentheses or none, right? Like you just have to do a lot of testing to figure out like what's going to work for your specific demo.
Okay, okay. And the details of the mail, is it how customers would like? I mean, some may prefer reading long mails with the details, and some will not actually go through the complete list. So, should that be specific to the customer again, or like we should strive with generic, then navigate and find it out?
Yeah, everything you need to do and everything you should do should be highly personalized and relevant and specific to your very audience. What works for one brand, some of it might work for another brand, and then a lot of it might not work for another, right? It all depends on demo category, right? So let's say a millennial that's going to buy hair care is going to want emails that's a little bit different than a millennial that's going to buy I don't know, maybe like a multivitamin, right? And those are going to be
Mhm.
way different than someone that's a 40-year-old woman or a 60-year-old male, in that same category that buys supplements, right? So how
Mhm.
everyone does things and how people want things will really be very specific. And the only way that you know is through testing. Test long form, test medium form, test short form, test, plain text versus HTML, beautifully designed emails. Like, like I could give you kind of a framework, but you have to test it
Okay.
with your own audience because some of our hypotheses are often right and a lot of our hypotheses are often wrong.
Okay. Yeah. And on the details of what should we give importance and look for, how best we are doing with the strategies that we are implementing, what kind of statistics that we should look for, insights that we should be getting before taking further actions or changing our formula?
Yeah, open rates, click through rates, click to opens, right? So of your people that actually opened, how many people clicked? What's the
Mhm.
conversion? What's the repeat purchase? What's the AOV from the email? Things like that. And then on the flip side, right, the negative things are marked as spam, bounces, unsubscribe. So looking at some of those metrics are really important. The revenue per recipient. So you send an email to 1,000 people on average. If you take the amount of money that generated, how much is each of those person worth on your list. So those are
Mhm.
some of like the metrics that we look at.
Okay, wonderful. There are different companies, different clients, right? There may be a big client or a small client or small business which is actually starting just with three, four people trying out like a startup. So,
Yeah.
how efficiently they should plan portion of their business or focusing on the marketing part? Any tips on that who are solely coming out and trying to sell their market and they are completely blank? So, what should be the starting point for anyone who is starting with?
Yeah, if we're talking about email marketing, like the core flows that I would start with are the welcome series for non-buyers, the abandoned checkout, and then some basic post-purchase, right? So I went into length about the welcome series. So I'll talk about the abandoned checkout. So if you think about the customer journey, right? The most number of people are going to be at your homepage, and the least number of people are actually going to make it through checking out and buying from you, right? But at each step in the funnel, there's friction, and friction introduces the opportunity to send an email to move people from one level to the next level. So
Mhm.
again, so the homepage, there's a category page, there's a viewed product page, there's an add to cart, there's a checkout, and there's a purchase, right? So on the viewed product, the add to cart, and the started checkout but didn't purchase, there's different
Mhm.
emails that we could serve. So if someone viewed a product, is on your list but didn't add to cart, didn't start checkout, or didn't buy, you want to serve them what's called the browse abandonment. If someone viewed a product but added to cart but didn't check out or didn't buy, you do the abandoned cart. Same thing for abandoned checkout, right? So
Mhm.
focusing on the abandoned checkout, this is furthest down the funnel.
Okay.
There's a few things that you want to focus on here, right? And doing these things are going to help you recover and convert more of your most engaged visitors that you're already driving to your website, right? So essentially, this sequence is a follow-up sequence to someone that's added items to their cart and gotten through a portion of checkout, but left your site without purchasing. So the first email that you're going to want to send is all about reminding them of the item or the items that they left behind. And if you can
Okay.
leverage kind of reviews and testimonials to showcase trust and credibility, that's really great. And then if someone does not convert on that first email, the second email is going to be all about educating them on what your company stands for and reminding them to, buy, and then also reminding them of the item or the items they left behind. So that's the abandoned checkout. I think that's a part of the core automations that every brand needs to start with. And then on the
Mhm.
post-purchase side, right, we want to show appreciation for our customers by saying thank you. This is going to help strengthen our bond with them and ultimately reduce buyer's remorse. And if we need to provide them with any education about the product or the products, we should do that, right? So if it's a supplement or a CBD or a hair care or skincare or kind of an expensive product, we might need to walk them through the steps of how someone would actually use it. So that's kind of the goal there. And if we can get them to provide feedback and content as well as joining the community, that's super helpful, right? So customer thank you emails showing gratitude, validating their buying decision, providing education, product review requests, product education. Those are the types of things. So I'd say those three core flows are really
Okay.
crucial when you're first starting out.
Okay. A step by step planning and taking it further. Wonderful. And you are also an angel investor, and you have actually put in your footsteps in multiple initiatives. So, as an investor, what are the parameters that you put first? If you are selecting a business, what should be the values, and what are the selection criteria that generally goes in from the marketing perspective?
So as an investor, what things do I look at? So for me, like, who's the team, right? Are the founders, what have they done before? How do I get along with them? Are they able to answer hard questions? Are they able to kind of ride the wave or kind of ride the roller coaster of emotions and kind of outcomes, right? So a lot of it really comes down to the people first and foremost. And then the second and the third are, what's the market? Do I think it's a market that's growing? Do I think it's a market that has longevity? And how are they positioned within the market, right? Are they on the low end, middle end, high end, and what have they achieved, right? So what's their customer lifetime value? What's their product retention? Uh, am I going to see a return? What's the ultimate goal of the business? Is it to go public? Is it to get acquired? Is it to just provide cash flow? So those are some of the things that I look at as an investor in terms of whether it's a good investment or not.
Okay, nice. Good list of criterias that you would validate before getting in. So for anyone, any formula that out of the ones that you listed, starting from planning to getting rid of the friction in terms of funneling and landing our customers. So how one should validate if the market strategy that has been applied is actually yielding and the result expected. So what are the parameters that one should consider that the marketing campaign that I've established is working and the strategies that I have laid out is working? Is it only the turnaround, how many customers I'm getting? Is that should be the only factor, or what are the additional parameters that one should give importance to?
Yeah, again, like if we're looking at it from an email perspective, I'm gonna go back to like the metrics before, right? It's like, what's the acquisition cost, and then what's the AOV, what's the LTV, right? What's the repeat purchase, right? So you're basically just looking at the basic fundamentals of like, how much do you spend and how much do you generate, right? If you are able to spend $1 on Facebook and get $2 out, right? That's pretty good. If you're able to then get $2 out of Facebook, but then from email you're able to drive more LTV and repeat purchase and frequency, that's great too. So yeah, nothing that I think I can mention here that's like rocket science. It's just understanding your metrics, understanding the funnel. Can you be profitable or break even on the front end? And then knowing that if you're break even, you're going to be profitable on the back end. Hopefully you're profitable on the front end too. But yeah, there's just a simple equation that you have to run to figure out,
Mhm.
does it make sense to keep spending on this channel? Can we back
Okay.
out the math? And if so, how do we spend more money on these channels?
Okay, okay. And when you started the Chase Diamond journey, specifically as individual, and what was the moment of relief that you felt? Okay, you have achieved particular statistics, and this customer you have satisfied. So, what was the close to your heart moment of relief for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a couple things, right? I think you're doing a great job when your clients want to refer business to you, right? When
Hmm.
clients, put their reputation on the line to refer your agency or your services to someone else that they know and they trust. I think that's like the aha moment. We have about 60 employees right now. Like, I never thought that we would ever get to 60 employees. That wasn't my goal. That wasn't the plan. We started
Hmm.
with myself and a partner. We started with a few clients. Then we started with more clients and a few employees, and then we just keep kind of building and scaling. So the fact that clients over the years have continually stuck with us, referred business, and wanted to work with us,
Okay,
is really been kind of like the greatest kind of coolest aha moment that we've ever had.
wonderful. So, when was that first moment since you started your journey?
I've had my current agency now for a little over 3 years, and I think
Okay.
that kind of came probably like, I don't know, 2 years and 9 months ago. Like, it took us a couple months of working with some clients to figure out, if
Mhm.
we were doing it right and really get kind of enough reps to do a good job. So yeah, it came a couple months after we kind of got started.
Okay. As you were mentioning about the different method of trial and error, is there any instance would you like to share on a particular path you opted, which you are just trying and you didn't expect much growth? Any such instances and the statistics to share?
One of the most surprising ones, interestingly, was how much of a lift we had in open rates based off of just changing the from name. So we spent a lot of time on like the subject lines and the preview text; those are super important. But we've been testing like the from name lately, and been
Hmm.
surprised by like how small adjustments and tweaks of the from name, whether it's all lowercase or all caps or the actual email address, how that's actually moved the needle pretty significantly in getting people
Hmm.
to open our emails.
Okay. So what was the change actually? Is it like a caps that people are looking for, or what exactly was the change?
Yeah, it just depends, like, on the brand. Sometimes leveraging all caps, sometimes leveraging all caps and like an emoji, right? Like my last name is Diamond, so I might just do like Chase Diamond all caps and have like the diamond emoji in the from name, right? Like just being kind
Mhm.
of creative and fun with that. Even putting like your email in the from name has been interesting. So there's been a lot of different interesting tests that have worked that I kind of been surprised by. I didn't think that a from name test would yield the kind of results it has.
That's a good one. And was it like too many customers you acquired as part of that, or different measures that it is increasing?
It just like increasing the open rate, which then gives the opportunity to increase the click through and ultimately the conversion, right? So by
Okay.
us improving the open rate, say we were getting, an additional lift of 10, 20% on the open rate over the other subject line, like for some of our brands that have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of people, that's extra
Okay.
thousands, tens of thousands of people opening each and every email. So it's been pretty significant.
Okay. Okay. And that incident was for yourself, like for Chase Diamond, or for one of your customers?
All of the above, yeah, both.
Okay, nice. And what was the moment of opportunity you found during this challenging year? Now we are all going through this pandemic, and every business has had an impact. So, what kind of impact you had, and how you actually converted that as an opportunity, and what was the growth that you've seen?
I think it's a couple things. I think with some of our clients on that side, like we reduced our fees to be able to help them, continue work with them and help them
Hmm.
scale. So we had
Hmm.
temporarily, for a couple months through the beginning of it, reduced our agency fees and really stuck it out with our brands and went above and beyond to help them. On the agency side and on the personal side, like I just create a ton of content. I have a free weekly newsletter. I do a lot of content on social where I'm just giving my best tips and tricks, my learnings, my wins, my losses, just really openly sharing my story and helping, mentor and kind of advise and guide people that I know and that I don't know online.
Okay, okay, nice. And you spoke that you started as a small team and now you emerged and you are now 60 plus. So, can you talk about the team building strategy that you have and people around you? Like you focus on the marketing, so everyone is like marketing, excelling in marketing field, or what was your strategy in team building?
Yeah, honestly, it's been documenting process and procedures, hiring good people to, build and expand on them and staying out of their way. Like at the end of the day, like, as business owners, like we want to be too involved and have our hands in everything. And a lot of times we end up becoming the bottleneck. So for a long time, I was obsessive over this and I wanted to be perfection over that. And we did well, but I ended up kind of slowing down to some degree the growth. So taking a step back and really just hiring good people and letting them do it and staying out of their way has been probably the best thing.
Okay, okay, yeah. So hand holding customers in where when they are also going through crisis, the little adjustments in the fees makes a big change. Wonderful. Any examples you can share on the issues that and the conflicts that you had, or you think things were not working and you are going ups and downs? Any friction moments which actually turned out to be wonders?
Yeah, I think for us, like, we are trying to be really mindful about how we scale and grow our agency. We're trying to scale quickly, but not too quickly that the quality of our work sacrifices. So for a couple months at the beginning of the year, as we, reduced our fees and as we kind of were hiring a bunch, our agency margins were really thin. We
Hmm.
were only generating a very little bit of profit just because we had reduced our fees for clients. We had hired a bunch of people to help add support. So that was kind of scary at the time, but now it's like, there are clients that we, really went above and beyond for and really helped during the hard times and even during good times. And we've since kind of increased our fees. They're
Okay.
going to be really loyal to us on the client side. And then the team is really stacked and we have a little bit more support and bandwidth than we probably otherwise would have. So it's been overall kind of a blessing in disguise.
Okay, okay. Especially when you are talking about the scaling and also at the same time touching upon the reducing your cost, there is definitely hit on the margin, right? So, how do you plan for scaling the business? That is what critical for any time if you are planning for the longer term. So, what is your stake on using marketing? Like this is the plan for scaling the business.
Yeah, right now we have a wait list for clients. So we're really focused on like hiring and training, like how and where do we find the right people and how do we train them as quickly as possible without rushing. So
Hmm.
what we've basically done, what's working for us, is we've rolled out a wait list. So if you come to me today in July, we probably can't start working with you until around early September. So it's about a month and a half out as our wait list. And that gives us enough time to hire new people, have them shadow our current teams, have them get onto speed, they'll go through my courses and my content, and then they'll be ready to rock and roll with a new client. So waitlist, onboarding new people, having them really plug in, learn the systems, do shadowing, almost like a apprenticeship of sorts before they get thrown into the weeds. It's been really, really helpful.
Okay, wonderful. And as any technology, like email marketing is also going through a lot of tools, a lot of technologies. Like, so what is your opinion on different tools and technologies that are coming in? Should people be going into any one specific product and use that for their business, or have some in-house tools developed for email marketing? So, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I don't know necessarily that you need certain internal tools. Like I think you need certain internal processes and systems on how you use tools, but I don't think you necessarily need to build your own tech. I think some of the tech available, whether
Mhm.
it's your guys' tool or Klaviyo or other platforms, like I think do a pretty good job of providing most of what you need. I think the ESP, the email service provider that you pick, should be one that you have experience with and one that
Mhm.
has good technology. For us in particular, we use Klaviyo, which is the one that I happen to use. But there's other
Okay.
great tools, whether it's OmniSend or Drip or Privy or SendLane, right? There's great tools. So pick one that is comfortable for you, one that you have experience with. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. We don't really use too many internal things. I think the external tools get the job done.
Okay. Coming to this product which are available like AMP, which is specific for the emails, right? So how do you see that AMP is going to play the crucial role in terms of planning and having the customer engagement in email marketing? So probably you can start with what is AMP, and later we can get into the engagement
Yeah,
part.
really simply, AMP is accelerated mobile pages. So it allows emails to engage and interact much like a website or a landing page can, right? So for example, you could do like a product carousel where you could rotate between different product images within an email. You can do like expanding or kind of accordion content where if you click a button, different content rolls out and kind of rolls down. So I think AMP is going to be really cool. I actually haven't really seen many people leveraging it yet. So it still
Mhm.
feels like it's early. And I think there's a lot of opportunity to leverage technology when it's early. So yeah, I have high expectations, and I think AMP is going to be probably pretty commonplace in the future.
Right. And in terms of customer engagement, like they are getting hooked only within the email, and there is no need to go out of the email to do any kind of business process. That's definitely going to play a big role, I believe.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. And coming to the content that one should be focusing on when it comes to market. So, how should one split in terms of the overall marketing? Like, there is actually infographics part, there is a blog part that people should focus in actually driving the campaign and actually funneling our customers to navigate through multiple pages, right? So, how much importance, if you wanted to balance it out, all like this many percentage for blog and this many percentage for email? So, what's your opinion on should we be focusing on all the angle, or primarily these are all important for email marketing?
I think if you keep it simple in the beginning, that's what's best, right? So you need to do three things. You need to have some traffic source. Typically, it's a paid traffic source, whether it's paid social or paid
Mhm.
search. Other things are like SEO, influencer marketing, affiliate marketing, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
You need traffic, right? That's one. Two is you need email. You need to collect email addresses of the traffic on your website to be able to communicate with them in the future. And then three, you need CRO. You need to be able to that stands for conversion rate optimization. You need to be able to
Okay.
optimize the entire funnel and the experience to drive more purchases and drive more email collection. So I think if you could master those three things, again, traffic source, retention, so email, in the future if you want to add SMS, great, and then having some kind of way to look at the data, make decisions, and increase the funnel.
Okay, nice. Coming to there is always big learning whenever we do mistakes, right? So I would like to hear if there is any mistakes or a kind of a downhill or uphill part that you have gone through. So what mistakes or a failure that has actually given more insights and that has got a big benefit in a longer run? Learnings from the failures.
I mean, dude, there's obviously a lot, right? Like I'd be lying if I told you we have none. I mean, we have a lot. I guess to pick one is like, in
Mhm.
email, every time you go to press send, it's kind of like the scary moment, right? Of like, shit, like, are my links right? Did I have the email doing this and that? And there's been times in the past where like we did the email and we sent it
Mhm.
to the wrong segment, right? We instead of sending it to people that haven't bought, we sent it to the people that bought. Or instead of sending it to the people that bought, we sent it to the people that haven't bought, right? So, accidentally selecting the wrong segment, having broken links within emails. There's all these things that go wrong, right? And what we do, the image gets clipped on Gmail, and now it's just allowed us to have kind of like a QA process where we have different people on the team do different checks and checking people's works, and the clients approve it just to make sure that everything is dialed in and buttoned up, and that way, we don't miss something.
Okay, so putting a business process in place like a QA checks is a great takeaway, I believe.
Yes. Yes.
Wonderful. What is your pride moment in the journey so far? If you looking back in your entire journey, what would you feel as a pride moment that you have achieved?
I think when I got asked to do a course with Founder Magazine, I think that was pretty cool. So
Oh,
about 2 years
nice.
ago, Founder Magazine, I think they've got like 3 million followers on Instagram. They've got millions of people in their communities, and hundreds of thousands of people, I think, that purchase their courses. I had the opportunity to film a course with them. So I did an advanced course with Founder, and that was really cool. Just like, wow, like, can't believe Founder wants to do a course with me.
Wow, that's a big win. It's not a small thing. Wonderful.
Thank
Nice.
you.
Any passion that you have outside of the marketing? So what generally is your passion and you always follow?
Outside of marketing, I've got a daughter that I love hanging out with and spending time with. I love playing basketball,
Wonderful.
just spending time with friends and family.
Okay, nice. And what keeps you motivated in your daily life? What is the one thing that you're running behind?
I think it's a couple things. I think the fact that we have 60 people that count on us to keep pushing and keep, paying their paychecks. We have 120, 130 clients, right, that expect us to show up every day and do our best work. My wife and my daughter. So I think each of those three things are really what propels me forward.
Wonderful. Nice. That's nice to know. And coming to the marketing, like there are, as just we spoke about the AMP, that AMP email marketing stuff. And in terms of the technologies and the tools that are evolving in marketing, right? So what is your vision? How do you see that email marketing and the email campaigning is going to play down the line 5 years? So what are the impacts that it's going to make?
Yeah, I mean, I think email is a great channel for engagement and conversion. I think it's one of the best channels for actually driving the click and ultimately getting the sale. So I think email is going to stay and remain just as impactful in terms of how much revenue it can contribute to a brand. So I think email is, here for longevity. I think it's been around for a while. I think it's going to be around for a long time. Think about how many times each of you guys listening or watching check your email every single day, right? We are so reliant and dependent on it that I have a lot of optimism for them, and I obviously have to. Right, I'm biased. I'm an email guy through and through.
Yeah, and especially where you pointed out that we are always getting there is not a single day where our inbox is not popping up with a new mails, right? Irrespective of we are active or not active. So, considering that, how to avoid like people considering it as spam? So, any must know informations that consider these factors, and probably your mail doesn't go to spam.
How it doesn't go to spam, or how people don't view it as spam? Which
Yeah,
one?
yeah. How people doesn't view it as a spam.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite simple. Send people content that they want, right? When they have the expectation of joining your list, they have some idea of what you're going to send them. Send them content that's high quality. Send them content that's good. If you send content that's low quality or spammy or bad, it's going to be spammy. So if you send people good education, cool news, cool updates, cool new product launches, good and relevant offers, if you segment people and send them personalized content, it's going to be impactful and helpful. It's not going to be spammy. If you send them content that is so overly promotional and doesn't look good and doesn't sound good, then it's going to be spam. It's pretty simple.
Okay, makes complete sense. And if you want to consider like one of the innovation or the product that you have come out with as part of Chase Diamond, what would you consider and which is a kind of a USP for your company?
I honestly think that the reason that we're successful is the fact that we go above and beyond for our clients, right? Like we really do more than what we're asked. We over deliver, and we do it with a great attitude, and we do it at the highest quality caliber. So I think it's knowing your stuff, being willing to go above and beyond, and doing it with your all. Right? There's nothing that we leave on the table. We do our best, or we don't take it on at all.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I guess I've covered quite a lot of information, and it's a great talking to you. You have provided good amount of your experience and your background. Wonderful. Thank you very much for your time, Chase. And for the people who don't know about the company and stuff, so where should they find you and how should they approach you?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me. The best place to follow along for daily email marketing tips and tricks, and then also agency updates and how to run an agency, follow me on Twitter. My handle is ecom chase diamond, no A in diamond, so it's just Dimond. So ecom chase diamond on Twitter.
Wonderful. Very nice talking to you, Chase. Thank you very much for your time.
Awesome. Thank you.